Can you tell me one application of statistics in real life?
Bills.
Any application? कुछ याद आ रहा है दिमाग के अंदर कि this is the
Bills.
हाँ
Bills.
bills मतलब कैसे?
सब पेमेंट के लिए
स्टैटिस्टिक्स चाहिए, उसके लिए तो पैसे चाहिए यार। ओके ठीक है, ओके है ना. सो इट इज अ वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग चैप्टर. स्टैटिस्टिक्स विल गिव यू एन आइडिया about the data that is scattered around us. So when we are living, there is so much of data that is scattered around us. In order to form it into a coherent theory, and you will require to make sense of that data. And the science of making sense of data is statistics. Huge amount of data है हमारे आसपास है ना. When for example an election is happening, lot of people are voting. Before voting they are doing some kind of activities. ठीक है ना. जैसे कि अगर सोचो कि मैं इलेक्शन लड़ने जा रहा हूँ, and if I do a statistical survey that what is the most important thing that Tanush and everybody in this group feels like, ठीक है ना, and I exactly say those words, so they will start resonating with you and you will think that I am a great leader despite me being whatever I am. And so statistics can be used in all kind of ways, and it is also used to manipulate elections, and it can also be used to win elections. It can also be used to make algorithms like Facebook, Instagrams, है ना. These are statistics driven platforms, है ना. तो data बहुत सारा flow हो रहा है, and we are trying to make sense of that data, and that is statistics. ठीक है ना. ये तो जनरल बात हो गई, what you require to know from JEE point of view, because I am going to restrict myself there. ठीक है. If I look into the JEE point of view, this chapter has primarily two parts, है ना. One is central tendency. Can anybody tell me what is central tendency? बताओ तृप्ति. सेंट्रल टेंडेंसी मतलब
मेन मीडियन मोड.
मीन, हाँ ठीक है ना. तो मीन मीडियन मोड आर द वेज टू मेजर सेंट्रल टेंडेंसी. लेकिन सेंट्रल टेंडेंसी क्या है? ठीक है. देखो, फॉर एग्जांपल आई विल टेल यू एग्जांपल ऑफ सेंट्रल टेंडेंसी, है ना. सो फॉर एग्जांपल यू वेंट एंड सॉल्व योर जेईई मेंस पेपर दिस ईयर, and based on your experience you are telling that the paper was tough. It doesn't mean that there was not a single easy question in the paper. It doesn't also says that all the questions were so tough that none of them can be solved, and there were no average questions as well. But based on whatever questions you have solved, you are going to give me a statement that somehow justifies the goal of the paper. So you have solved 25 questions in the paper. Based on that, you are giving me some feedback कि इस पेपर के अंदर अगर हम सारे पेपर्स को एक क्वेश्चन से रिप्लेस करें तो उसका डिफिकल्टी लेवल हाई होगा. ठीक है. तो हमारे पास बहुत सारा डेटा है. इफ आई ट्राई एंड रिप्लेस दैट डेटा बाय अ डेटा पॉइंट, सिंगल डेटा पॉइंट, दैट इज इट्स सेंट्रल टेंडेंसी. ठीक है ना. जैसे कि अगर मैं इंडिया के अंदर, है ना, लोगों की पर कैपिटा इनकम कैलकुलेट करूं, तो व्हाट दैट पर कैपिटा इनकम इज गिविंग मी is basically if I take an average individual in this country, है ना, that average individual might be earning that kind of money every day. इसका मतलब ये नहीं कि सारे डेटा में लोग वैसे ही करें. भाई भारत में अंबानी भी है. ठीक है ना. In this country people are so poor. ठीक है ना. Those people are also there. ठीक है. तो what is that per capita income telling me is basically if I replace all of this data with a single data point, that is the most justifiable way of doing it. ठीक है ना. कर नहीं सकते ना, that is a different thing. So it is a statistical thing that we are trying to do. ठीक है ना. And once I've said that statement, even you might be thinking that इंडिया की पर कैपिटा इनकम क्या पता है आपको?
सर $2000 के आसपास.
देख लेते हैं पर कैपिटा इनकम ऑफ इंडिया. $7,200 है. ठीक है ना. इसको अगर हम रुपए में कन्वर्ट कर लें, ठीक है ना? That means basically everybody in India is earning 1 lakh rupees according to this per capita income. But do you think everybody in India earns 1 lakh rupees? There are people in your family, even you do not earn 1 lakh rupees. ना फैमिली तो छोड़ दो, तुम्हारे पापा अर्न करते, तुम थोड़ा ना अर्न करते. Do you understand my point? So we are trying to replace whole of data with a single data point that is known as central tendency. ठीक है ना? But even you can see that it has lot of errors and issues that it can have. तो क्या होगा? Whenever we will try and study data, it will be dispersed around certain values. तो देखो, मतलब अगर मैं बोलूं कि मार्क्स एक क्लास के अंदर बच्चों ने स्कोर करे, तो that marks were lying between 50 to 100. If somehow I found the tendency, central tendency that was around 70, but there were students which were on the left side of 70 also, and there were students who were right side of 70 also. ठीक है? तो though it is a central tendency, but it has a lot of issues, and there is a lot of data that is dispersed. अब ये 70 इसलिए भी हो सकता है कि क्लास के अंदर 2-4 बच्चे थे जो 100 मार दिए, है ना? बाकी बहुत सारे लोग थे जिनके बहुत खराब मार्क्स थे, फेल भी हो रहे थे. तो हम ऐसा थोड़ा ना बोल सकते हैं कि everybody is doing good in the subject because average is good. Probably there are 10 students in the class, they are doing extraordinary, and there are 30 students in the class, they are doing pathetic. ठीक है? तो ये जो एक आप समझ रहे हो ना, there is a problem with this because of the kind of spread that is had, the spread of the data that is there. So in order to study the numbers more beautifully, we will also want to study that spread of numbers, and that spread of numbers is known as dispersion. ठीक है? तो you have already done your mean, mode, median in class 10. ये already 10th में खत्म हो गया. In this same teaching notes, I have given that also, so you can go over it, you can solve the problems. ठीक है? But this is not what we are going to discuss. We are here to discuss the dispersion. This is something new. So all the material that is required to revise your central tendency, ठीक है ना, is already given here. ठीक है ना? Central tendency are 3 types: mean, median, mode. ये आप कर सकते हैं. तो ये हम already देख चुके हैं. Mean की properties क्या होती हैं? Already most of the things are here. Few of things we will do while solving problems as well. But just go over this data, it will be more than enough to compile it. Because median, this formula of median that you learned in class 10th is very important. If you want to note it down, please note it down. We are going to use this formula while solving problems. ठीक है ना? Because median is something that most of us do not remember. Mean तो हमको confidence होता है कि सब दे दो, average में तो कुछ भी करनी है. ठीक है ना? Median is one thing. So there are these 2 important ideas. So this was already. This one, है ना? This is very important. अगर लग रहा है screenshot लेना तो screenshot लेना. ठीक है? Because this data we are going to use in solving problems. In dispersion also mean will be required. In fact, central tendencies will be required. वो हम देखेंगे. ठीक है? Small questions based on this is already given. You just go over this, you will be able to understand everything. Mode is not that important. कर लो तो अच्छा है, नहीं करो तो कोई बात नहीं. ठीक है ना? Now see dispersion. If you take up even the module of Prague B, there are n number of things that are given in that. ठीक है? करने की जरूरत नहीं है. If you look into previous year question, only 2 kinds of questions have been asked. There are questions which are based on mean, ठीक है, that you have already done in class 10. उसके अंदर उसको करने के लिए कुछ भी नए नॉलेज की जरूरत नहीं, वो आपको ऑलरेडी आता है. ठीक है ना? Only thing that the questions are asked from dispersion. और डिस्पर्शन के अंदर भी एनसीईआरटी की मिसलेनियस एक्सरसाइज के 5 क्वेश्चन है जो बार बार जेईई के अंदर पूछे जा रहे हैं. ठीक है? तो यू नीड टू फोकस ऑन दोस 5 क्वेश्चंस इन एनसीईआरटी. गॉट इट? ठीक है ना? आफ्टर दिस लेक्चर यू विल गो एंड यू कैन ओपन योर प्रीवियस ईयर क्वेश्चन पेपर्स और धड़ाधड़ तुम सॉल्व करते चले जाओ. You will have no problem doing that, because only thing that is required are these 5 questions plus class whatever you did in class 10th. Class 10th stats. So I'm assuming this you can do on your own. Regarding that, I have put in the relevant content and questions for you to practice, and this we are going to take up, and I will enable you to solve these 5 questions. ओके, गॉट इट? समझ आ गया है ना? तो आप if you go and read test books, you go and listen lecture, people will tell lectures of 10 hours. But that is not required. That is not the mandate of JEE exam. ठीक है, तो हमें इतना ही करना है, लिमिटेड. And that is the reason I am taking very limited class. अब देखो what is dispersion? So dispersion is basically the spread of data that we were already talking about. Now how to measure that spread of data? And now for that we have three types of measures. One is range, another is mean deviation, and other one is variance and standard deviation. So we have these three measures. There is one more, that is quartile deviation, but that is meant for commerce students because they deal in quarters. For us science students, quarter has no meaning. Okay? So for us, there are three important measures of dispersion: range, mean deviation, and standard deviation. Now, what is range? You already understand. So for example, I have a data from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And this is my data. And in this data, you can see the maximum value is 5, the minimum value is 0. So if you subtract 5 from 0, you get the range. So your range is 5. Got it? Very simple. The range is something that can give you certain idea कि अगर किसी चीज की range है क्लास के अंदर लोगों के मार्क्स से 0 से लेके 100 तक, it give you an idea of a spread, but that idea is of no use basically. So this is not a very useful measure. So the two very useful measures that we are going to focus on is the mean deviation and the standard deviation. ठीक है? Okay. Now let us see what is mean deviation. First, I will try and conceptualize it, and then I will give you the formula for mean deviation. Because the idea is that, for example, I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These 5 numbers. So first we will find the mean of this data. So if you find the mean of this data, it will be 3. Nikal lo. If you will take time, take your time. But I have written data in such a manner that I already know the mean. 3. अब हम क्या बोल रहे हैं बेसिकली, इन ऑर्डर टू स्टडी द स्प्रेड व्हाट वी आर डूइंग इज बेसिकली वी आर है ना सब्सट्रैक्टिंग 3 फ्रॉम ईच ऑफ दीस नंबर्स. सो इफ वी हैव 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, if I subtract this mean from each of these, this is going to become -2, -1, 0, 1, 2. ठीक है ना? Now if I take average of this, for that I will have to take some, अब sum is 0 again. ठीक है? So we cannot directly take the sum of the difference that we generated from the mean position. So in order to make it more logical, हमने क्या बोला, इसका mod ले लेते हैं. And now if I add, it will become 6. ठीक है? तो हमने बोला कि देखो, the total difference that the mean is having from each of the numbers in my data set, ठीक है ना, that is 6. So if I talk about average difference that is there, that average difference will be nothing but mean deviation. तो मैंने क्या किया, ये 6 लिया और टोटल नंबर ऑफ एंट्रीज जितनी थी 5, उनसे मैंने डिवाइड कर दिया. तो 6/5 that is 1.2. This becomes my mean deviation. This is the logic. This is what we are trying to do. ठीक है ना? Subtract mean from each of the data, take their modulus, add them, and once you have added them, just divide it by total number of entries. So what we are telling is basically कि जो every entry है ना, how far it is from the mean position. ठीक है ना? उसका हम उस distance का उस जो spread का we are taking the mean of that. This is what we are fundamentally trying to do. So what is the formula? Formula is very simple. देखो, summation of xi minus a by n. This is. ठीक है ना? Very simple. This is the formula. ठीक है? Now whenever we are doing any concept, अब ये तो खत्म हो गया यहाँ पे, फिर ज्यादा क्या करें? ठीक है ना? अब यहाँ पे एक important point है, mean deviation is minimum when it is taking about median. अब देखो, this central tendency can be taken apart. The difference of the data that we are taking is from the central position. That central position we can calculate in 3 different ways: mean, median, mode. ठीक है? तो it can mean deviation about mean हो सकता है, mean deviation about median हो सकता है, mean deviation about mode भी हो सकता है. Okay, got it? Fine. ठीक है? तो अब now we have, when we are trying to analyze anything, we usually have 3 types of data. So whatever I will tell you in the context of 3 different types of data. One is ungrouped data. है ना? Second will be grouped data. और थर्ड वुड बी कंटिन्यूअस ग्रुप्ड डेटा. You will see. So see, this is ungrouped data. You can see individual entries are like here and there. And if you have to find the mean deviation, can you find the mean deviation? निकाल दो. ठीक है, तो 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is xi. है ना? X bar if I find out, in this case will be 5.
सर वापस 1.2.
1.2, yes. So xi minus x bar ka mod. This becomes 2, 1, 0, 1, 2. The same thing. It is going to be 6. And mean deviation is nothing but summation of xi minus x bar mod divided by n. So this is nothing but 6 by 5. That is nothing but 1. Okay. Great. Type 2, है ना? Up see, now what we have done is we have grouped the data. We have started grouping, but still the data is discrete. So this is discrete grouped data. What does discrete means? You can see here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is not a continuous data. xi दिया हुआ है तुमको, कोई class नहीं दी हुई. ठीक है? So this is discrete data 1, 2, 3, 4. And it is grouped also because in front of every data there is some frequency that is given. So how will you apply this concept in this new context is basically you will have to first find the average. So how do you find the average? So for finding average you have a formula. Summation of xi fi by summation of fi. Means you take the sum of this. If you take the sum of this, it is 3 plus 2, 5, 10, 11. Yeah. And then summation of xi fi, मतलब इसको इससे multiply करो. So if you multiply, this becomes 3, this becomes 4, this becomes 3, this becomes 8, and this becomes 15. If you add them, you will get a number. What is that number? You बताएगा. 7 plus 3, 10.
43.
10. Huh?
43.
Yes, 33. Very good.
So 43.
33 आना चाहिए.
सर 33 आ रहा है.
हाँ. It is 33 by 11.
Yes, sir, 33 है.
So see, I have written data in such a manner that I do not have problem in calculation. ये मेरी खुद की intelligence है. And now what I will do is basically I am going to find xi minus x bar का mod. जैसे मैं करूँगा again I get 2, 1, 0, 1, 2. ये आ गया. लेकिन अब this 2 is happening 3 times. So I will also have to multiply its frequency with it. So if you multiply the frequency, it becomes 6, 2, 0, 2, 6. And if you take an average, this becomes 16. So what is the value of mean deviation? Mean deviation is nothing but summation of fi into xi minus x bar mod divided by summation of fi. So this becomes 16 and divided by 11. So 16 by 11 is your answer. समझ गए? देखो same thing we are doing, only thing that is increases frequency. The same thing, the one observation is coming 3 times. ठीक है? तो actually if you write this data ऐसा कुछ लिखा 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, then 3, then 4, 4, then 5, 5, 5. तो इसको करते 3 बार. तो what we have done is we have done it 1 times and multiplied it by 3. Got it? Understood?
Yes, sir.
Great. Good. Type 3. Type 3 is basically, now here you can see that it is continuous group data. The data is still grouped in the form of frequencies. But now it is a continuous data. 1 to 5, 6 to 10, 11 to 15. Actually, it should be 1.5, 0.5, 1 to 5.5. लेकिन ठीक है, चल जाएगा. So this is how it is given. Now again we have to find the mean deviation. So what we will do is basically we'll try and find the midpoint of this class. That we'll call as xi. So 1 plus 5, that is 6 divided by कितना हो जाएगा midpoint? Midpoint will be 3. In this case it would be 8 and then 30, and then 18, and then 23. Now, what is the difference between this question and the earlier question? In earlier question, xi was given. Here the class was given. So in order to find xi, we have taken the midpoint of the class. Now this becomes the older question. Okay? So like we did the last question, similar way you can do this question also. So how will you do it? You will find the mean. तो xi fi निकालेंगे, है ना? Once you have got the mean, xi minus x bar करेंगे, and then fi into xi minus x bar mod. This will be. So I already know the mean because the data is arranged in such a manner. 13 is the mean. So if you want to do is, this will become 10, this will become 5, this will become 0, 5, 10. And if I multiply, this becomes 30, 10, 0, 10, 30. To take the average, it becomes 80. My mean deviation is nothing but summation of fi xi minus x bar mod by summation of fi. So this is 80. And if you add this, this is still 11. ठीक है?
Yes, sir.
Got it? Well, बहुत simple है. Because what we are doing is not relevant till now. Now see, we have done our mean deviation. We have already done our mean deviation. Again, now there is a problem with this type of deviation. The problem with this is when the variability of data increases. This statement is very important. Over this, objective questions can be asked. Variability of data will increase. Okay, na? Even the most accurate of them. The most accurate is mean deviation about median. Even this will not be very accurate. And that is the reason we'll require a new type of measure, and that measure is nothing but standard deviation. अब हमने इसमें करा क्या basically, and what we have done in this is root mean square velocity. Root mean square concept है ना? I hope you remember it. I don't know whether you do it or not. तो root mean square क्या बात कहता है? देखो, root mean square ये बात कहता है कि sigma और standard deviation is written as root of summation of xi minus x bar का whole square by n. So this is root mean square. Root, mean and square. There is root, there is mean, there is square. इससे हुआ क्या? By doing this, we have highlighted those points where the variability is more. Because for example, see 4 is 4, but if you square it, it becomes 16. It becomes more pronounced. ठीक है ना? Writing 2 is fine, but 4 all of a sudden, and then 4, 16, 5 will become 25. So your variability will become more observable. And that is the impact that this root is generating. But still, we will want to keep the format of the answer same, hence we have put a root over it. And mean to लेना ही पड़ेगा, तो n तो logical है. ठीक है? So this is what the concept of sigma is. Now, if I simplify this summation of xi, because this is important to observe, something very important. So, अगर मैं इसको this part, and if I simplify this one, this will become summation of xi square plus x bar square minus 2 xi x bar. And if I distribute summation, it is summation of xi square plus summation of x bar square minus 2 times summation of xi x bar. This will become this only. So this is xi square only. But see, this is constant. This because this is average. So this becomes m times summation of x bar. From here, you can take this common, and this is summation of xi. Because summation of xi by n is x bar. Even this can be used here. And this statement can be written as summation of xi square plus n times x bar square. 2 times x bar into this becomes n into x bar. So you can see that this statement ultimately simplifies into xi square. And this 2 times, this becomes minus of x bar square. Or this can be written as xi square minus n into summation of xi by n whole square. And if we do that, we get summation of xi square minus summation of xi ka whole square by n. Basic summation. If we apply it, you do not need to know this. I'm telling you for the sake of conceptual clarity. देख लो फिर. Take 30 seconds to reflect over it. ठीक है, तो आपके पास एक फॉर्मूला था ये, और इसको अगर मैं रिप्लेस कर दूं इससे, तो आई गेट अनदर फॉर्मूला. व्हाट इज दिस फॉर्मूला? दैट इज n टाइम्स समेशन ऑफ xi का स्क्वायर माइनस समेशन ऑफ xi का होल स्क्वायर. 1/n root of this. ठीक है, and third I will talk about. So this is the first idea, this is the second idea. Third is also there, I will talk about it in a minute. अब देखो इसका क्या फायदा हुआ. फॉर अप्लाइंग द फर्स्ट फॉर्मूला व्हाट यू रिक्वायर इज एवरेज, एंड फाइंडिंग एवरेज इज अ कॉम्प्लेक्स टास्क इन फ्यू केसेस. So for this you require average or x bar. In this case you do not require it. Second case, you can directly square the terms and add them, and then add the terms and then square them. So in the second case we do not require mean or average, and that becomes the beauty of the second formula. So please write down all the three formulas. Two I have explained, one I will explain in a minute. And then we are going to take very small questions to understand it conceptually, because anyway these table type questions they are not going to ask. What they are going to ask is word problems, and once we've understood everything we'll move towards word problems. Those 5 important problems that are asked in the exam. Got it? ठीक है, चलो इसकी कोई जरूरत नहीं है, इसको आप अपने आप कर लेंगे. Now let us take the same 3 problems that we are doing earlier, but instead of finding mean deviation we are going to find standard deviation. So what is the process? So xi is already given 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I'm going to show you both the processes. First process says that you find the x bar that we already know, and then you find xi minus x bar. निकाल लेते हैं भाई. So this is -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, and then you take a square of this because it is root mean square. So this becomes 4, 0, 1, 4. Then you take the sum of this. This becomes 10. Now your standard deviation formula says that standard deviation is nothing but xi minus x bar whole square and root of n. So if I put into this formula, it becomes 10 by total number of observations that were 5 and root of this. So my answer is nothing but root 2. Understood? Very simple. कुछ करना नहीं ज़्यादा. Now if I use by doing another method that I taught you, this is 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The next method says that you square them. So you square them, this becomes 9, 16, 25, 36, 49. You take sum of this, you take sum of this. इससे ज़्यादा कुछ करना ही नहीं, because the formula says that your sigma is nothing but 1/n root of n times summation of xi square minus summation of xi whole square. Now if you sum this, the first one, this is 50, and कितना गया ये 50 plus 49 is 99. 99 plus 36 is 135. So this is 135. Please try again. My calculation is not so good. And this is tan 25. So what this new formula is saying is you write 1 by 5 here. You write 5 here. Summation of xi square is this part. You put 135 here. And then you put 25 square here. Simplify this, you are going to get the same answer. So this again becomes root 2. But here you can see that our table were reduced. So here you might see and you might feel that first one is the better method. Okay, but we will, when we are solving problem, this is the second method that we are going to use for most of the times. Done. Type 2 questions. This is given. Now we can apply both the ways, and I'm going to show you using both the ways. So now the average we already know is basically 3. So xi minus x bar, this becomes -2, -1, 0, 1, 2. Xi minus x bar whole square. 4, 1, 0, 1, 4. This becomes 10. And our sigma is nothing but 10 divided by, it is not the answer. This is not the answer, this 10 is not the answer. We also have this frequency into picture, so we have to do fi into xi minus x bar. So we have to multiply, this will become 12, this will become 2, 0, 2, 12. Answer becomes 24 into 2, 48. 14 into 2. 38. So your mean deviation of sigma becomes root of 38. Now what is the formula for this? The formula will look something like this: summation of fi into xi minus x bar whole square by summation of fi. So this you can automatically think, there is nothing to do much. And now you add everything, this is 11. This becomes your sigma. And now if I use another method, how am I going to do it? It is, मैं इसका square कर दूंगा, तो xi was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and fi was 3, 2, 1, 2, 3. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do xi square. So if I do xi square, this is 1. This is 4, this is 9, this is 16, this is 25. Fi xi, if I do this, this is nothing but 3, 4, 3, 8, and 15. And if I do fi xi square, this is nothing but 3, 8, 9, 32, 75. Find the sum and do the deed. So your answer now will be sigma is nothing but 1 by n. N is capital N here, and capital N is nothing but summation of fi into root of n into summation of fi xi square minus summation of fi xi whole square. So this becomes 1 by 11 root of 11 into the sum from here. 3 plus 8 is 11 plus 20, 20, 52, 52 plus 75. 52 plus 75 is 122. Check the calculation. And here in the square, you will have to put whatever you get from here. This was 122. And here it becomes 3 plus 4, 7, 7 plus 3, 10, 10, 18, 18 plus 15. 18 plus 15 is 33. Check the calculation. There are two ways of doing it. Got it? Understood? Let me know if there is something that you don't understand. Sharmeet, Anusha, Tripti. Type 3. And see, up top, type 3 is not very difficult, and it is the same thing. For xi, we will take the midpoint. So 3, 8, we already did that. And 13, 18, 23. Then after that, it is the same question. So nothing new. Okay, now here, I'm going to tell you one very important point. You understood this idea, right? So there is nothing much to do here. It is the same problem written in a different manner. Okay. Now here I'm going to tell one thing that is very relevant. Let us do that small discussion. So, for example, if you have data 1, 2, 3, and if I add 5 to this data, this will become 5, 7, 8. So what will happen to the mean? And what will happen to sigma? Can you tell me? Its mean was 2. Sigma bhi kuch tha, let us say sigma hi tha. So what will happen to this part? If I add 5 to all of those quantities, here I have added 5. Okay. So can you tell me what will happen to the mean and sigma? Batao. Tripti, what will be the value of mean?
Sir, please repeat the question from beginning.
Yes. My question is that if you have 3 numbers 1, 2, 3, their mean is 2 and sigma is sigma, let us say. So what is going to be the new value of mean and sigma if we add 5 to all the 3 values? Batao. अच्छा मीन बताओ ना, मीन क्या हो जाएगा? इस नए डेटा का मीन क्या हो गया? 7. ठीक है, तो you can see that your mean also increased by 5 units. Wherein if you find sigma, it will not change, it will remain same. So if you add 5 to all the values, okay, your average will change, but your sigma will not change. Okay. Now, if I subtract 5 from all the values, the first values, it is going to become -4, -3, -2. Now again, your mean changed to -3, but sigma will not change. If you add and subtract same value from all the values, your sigma doesn't change. Okay, now though your x bar changes. So तुम्हारा x bar जो था ना, it reduced by 5. What will happen if I multiply all the values by 5? What will happen to mean sigma now? This becomes 5, this becomes 10, this becomes 15. Your mean becomes 10. So you can see that your mean became 5 times. It was 2 earlier, अब वो 10 हो गया. So basically your mean has become 5 times. And you will see that your sigma will also become 5 times. And what is the reason? I can explain you in a minute. And if I divide by 5, it becomes 1 by 5, 2 by 5, and 3 by 5. So अगर आप देखें basically, you can see that your mean has also reduced by, is also become 1/5, and your sigma will also become 1/5. So if we add something and if we subtract something, your sigma doesn't changes. But if you multiply something, it becomes that much times. If you divide by something, it becomes that much times. And this is a very important property because we are going to use this property to simplify our calculation. And direct questions are asked on this idea. So these two facts you can just put the values in formula and then you can वहीं से समझ में आएगा. Why it is becoming 5 sigma and sigma by 5. So this is very important property, and once you have done that, for that you will use part 4. Now see, what we are going to do is basically, if a data is given like this, and this is a very complicated data, so instead of doing it directly, we are going to follow a method that is known as step deviation method. What is a step deviation method? तो हम क्या करेंगे basically, xi will find. So if I find xi, it is 2500. ठीक है ना? नहीं कुछ गड़बड़, इसको 0 कर लेते हैं. 0. In order to make my calculation simple, I'm doing it out of, to make my life simple. And this will become 7500. This will become 12500. And this is going to become 17500. And this is going to become 22500. So this is the xi that we have found. Look, if we calculation करेंगे ना, it will become a huge task for us. So in order to reduce our calculation, what we did was basically, so what we do is we'll introduce di. What is di? It is xi minus the middle value. That is 12500. And divide by 100. In fact, 1000. हाँ 5000 कर सकते हैं. That will be more logical. So if I assume my di in such manner, मैं लिख देता हूँ side में, because here the calculation is going to become messy. So it is xi minus 12500 divided by 5000. And there is something magical that is going to happen. So now you can see that your values will start reducing. So if I subtract this, divide by 2, this becomes -2, -1, 0, 1, 2. इतनी बड़ी कैलकुलेशन नहीं करनी पड़ी मुझको. ठीक है ना? And now either first method or second method, I can find the value of. In fact, even if I use my first method and find fi di, in fact, I will first find di square. So this is going to become 41014. And then fi di square. That is going to become 12,20212. So this is nothing but 38. And if I find fi di, it is nothing but -6 -2026. Answer is 0. So if I find summation of new function d, so this sigma is going to be nothing but 1 by n. That was 1 by 11. Root of 11 into this part, 38. -0. Okay, so 0 ही हो गया. Okay, so this came out to be, whatever this is root 38 by 11. कर लेना. So from here, how do I find dx? Summation x, sigma x. So sigma x और dx में क्या relation होगा देखो. What I have done is I have divided by 5000. ठीक है ना? And I have subtracted. Subtraction का तो कोई impact नहीं होगा, लेकिन division का होगा. है ना? So my sigma dx is nothing but 5000 times smaller than sigma. So this is the connection. From here, you can find the value of sigma x. And our answer becomes 5000 into root 38 value. So देखो, we can do oral calculations by using this. Take your time, reflect over it. Done? Understood? तो ऐसे कर सकते हैं. Now, properties of sigma and variance. So what is variance? First, the first question is. So variance is nothing but sigma square. Variance is nothing but sigma square. Okay, now if you add something to the data set, the variance is not going to change. If you multiply something, it is going to become square because sigma square hai. Sigma used to become that lambda times, so it becomes lambda square. Okay? A square, same thing. Potato. So this sigma variance property has nothing but square of sigma properties. है ना? Got it? ठीक है, the variance of 20 observations is 5. अब these are the type of questions that are asked in the exam. ये पूछते हैं आपके एग्जाम के लिए. The variance of 20 observation is 5 if each observation is multiplied to find the new variance. बताओ what will be the answer?
Sir, 20.
Yes, 20. ठीक है, got it? The property based questions directly. The mean of 5 observation is 4.4. Their variance is 8.2. क्या?
Sir, try to बताया वापस बता दो properties.
हाँ. What the property is basically, if you have variance of a number and now you are adding some lambda to all the values, the variance is not going to change. It is going to remain the original one. And now, but if I multiply with this x, now in that scenario, what is going to happen is your variance is going to become lambda square times. Okay, now this is in line with the sigma properties only. In sigma, अगर हम ऐसा कर रहे थे, in this scenario, the sigma was not changing. It was sigma only. But when you were multiplying something, in that context, your sigma used to change. It used to become lambda times sigma. And since it is a square of sigma, this is becoming square, nothing else. Because this is a very typical question that is asked in multiple times. So the mean of 5 observation is 4.4. Their variance is 8.24. If 3 of the observations is given, find the 2 observation. Okay, so how will you do this question? So let us assume the observations to be x1, y1, sorry, x1, x2, x3, x4 and x5. Now 3 they are already given, तो इतना लिखने की भी जरूरत नहीं है, जबरदस्ती की मेहनत. What we can write is 1, 2, 6, x and y. These are the values that we are going to use. So mean of this 5 observation is 4.4. So 1 plus 2 plus 6 plus x plus y divided by 5 is equal to 4.4. So from here you will get the value of x plus y. So x plus y is nothing but 22 minus 9. So this is going to become 13. Now please check my calculation and let me know if I'm doing something. So this is what we got from the first idea. Now their variance is 8.24. So variance हमें नहीं आता, sigma आता है. So sigma will be nothing but है ना? Sigma है ना? तो sigma, and how will you find sigma? So sigma square is variance. So sigma square will be nothing but summation of xi square. Let us first write sigma. So your sigma is nothing but 1 by n root of n times summation of xi square minus summation of xi whole square. Okay, now from here the value of n you already know is 5. Okay, and from here n is nothing but 5. Summation of xi square will become 1 square plus 2 square plus 3 square plus x square plus y square. And summation of sum of all the values. So अगर average ही 4.4 है, so sum of all the values is nothing but 22. Because you've already did this, na? This value will be 22 from here. So this becomes 22 whole square. This is given as sigma. If I square this, this becomes 1 by 25 into 5 into 1 plus 4 plus 9 plus x square plus y square minus 22 square. You simplify this, you will get an equation of x square, the summation square, sigma square is given as 8.24. This is 8.24 into 25 is equal to, this is 14, 5 into 14 plus 5 into x square plus y square minus 22 square. And simplify this to get the value of x square plus y square. And once you have x plus y and x square plus y square, you can solve this equation to find the value of x1. देखो. Important thing is basically use this formula, not the other formula. If you look into NCERT, they have used the other formula. That will make your calculations complicated. So you won't be able to implement the solution in 1 or 2 minutes, 2 or 3 minutes. Okay. Look into this problem. This problem has been asked in ITJ means hundreds of times. They love this problem. I don't know why. And that is the reason it is important.
सर कितने क्वेश्चंस आते हैं?
एक क्वेश्चन आएगा बेटा पेपर में.
तो पक्का?
हाँ. अब कई बार एक आध बार नहीं भी है, स्टैटिस्टिकली एक आता है. That is the more right statement. Okay. I told the students कि बेटा एक तो आता ही आता है, उस साल नहीं आया. And it was there for the last 10 years. उस साल नहीं आया तो क्या कर सकते. But statistically it has been consistent pair. One from mathematical reasoning, one from statistics is going to be there. करके जाओ इस टॉपिक को तो इजी है. ठीक है. This is another question which is very important. Question says that the mean and the standard deviation of 100 observations. They will simplify the content, don't worry. And the 100 observations was calculated as 40 and 5.5. एक बच्चा ऐसा था जिसने गलती से instead है ना, who took by mistake 50 instead of 40. Now what is the corrected mean and standard mean? उसकी गलती का खामियाजा हमें भुगतना पड़ेगा कैलकुलेशन के टर्म्स के अंदर. ठीक है. So the value of n is given as 100. This is one thing. Now वो क्या बोल रहा है, देखो कि अगर if there are 100 observation x1 to x99 and if I take 50 here and if I divide by 100, what the value that I am getting from this calculation is 40. So this is first equation. Another thing that they are telling is basically कि वो पुराने वाले फॉर्मूले के अंदर if I find standard deviation, for standard deviation also this is 1 by 100 and this is root of n into sum of squares of this number minus and this number that is written here can be found using mean, and that is 4,000. So what I have written here is nothing but x bar into n. This is how I have found the sum of all the numbers. And this sigma they had given this sigma as how much? 5.9. ठीक है. एक इक्वेशन ये है, दूसरी इक्वेशन ये है. Now what they are asking is basically tell us the value of x1 x2 and the x99. इसको change कर भाई, इसको 40 कर, सही कर. 40 divided by 100. This is the first thing that they are asking. Tell us this value. And another thing that they are asking is tell the sigma nu. What is sigma nu? 1 by 100. And root of 100 into x1 square to x99 square plus 40 square. The 50 square की जगह 40 square कर दिया. And whatever answer we are getting from here, from that we can write this one. So now this is first one is quite easy to find. इसकी value यहाँ से निकाल लेते हैं और यहाँ substitute कर देते हैं. If you try and find that value is easy to find. It is nothing but 4,000 minus 50, 3,950 plus 40 by 100. So it becomes 3,990 by 100 and it is 39.9. This comes out to be the new number. And if I put it here, this becomes 1 by 100 into root of 100 into all of this minus 3,990 whole square. अब only thing that you have to do is basically यहाँ से इसकी value निकालो और यहाँ substitute. You will get the answer. Take your time, reflect over this, and let me know if everything is fine. Okay, great. Done. The last thing, coefficient of standard deviation. Now, for example, we have to compare two data. One data is such that its average is x1 bar and sigma is sigma 1. And data 2 is such that its average is x2 bar and sigma is sigma 2. Now we need to compare this data. So how we are going to compare their variation? For that, we have a measure. Coefficient of variation. What is coefficient of variation? You do sigma by x bar. Very simple formula. Direct questions पूछते formula based. Okay, na? So for whatever value, the coefficient of variation is higher. That has more variation. So higher value of coefficient means higher variability of data. Sigma by x bar into 100 is coefficient of variation. इस पे question पूछ लेते. Like this data is given. Two plants A and B of a factory show the following result about the number of workers and the wages paid to them. ऐसे दे रहे. ठीक है ना? What they are asking is which factory has more variability in terms of wages being paid. So the thing that you are going to do is you are going to find coefficient of variation for data. So that is x bar by sigma into 100. This was the formula that we, sorry, sigma by x bar by 100. So now from here, variance of the data is given as 81. So if you take root of this, sigma square is equal to variance. So root of 81 will be sigma. Okay, and average monthly wage paid is 2500. So this becomes 9 by 25. And now let us find coefficient of variation for data 2. And sigma 2 by x2 bar into 100. So sigma 2 कितना हो गया देखो? Root of 100, because it is variance, divided by 2500 into 100. So this is 10 by 25. You can see that this number is greater than the first number. Hence, data of factory 2 has more variability. Done? Dekho, and let me know if there is something that you don't understand. ये आप कर सकते हैं. This is your homework. Homework is your NCERT, and that is the mind map. These are the things that we have covered today. After that, only two things needs to be done by you as students. कुछ नहीं करना. NCERT की only solve miscellaneous exercise plus examples and exercise both. Question and the where you get stuck, I have already covered that. And solve all the questions of this PPT. That is enough. If you want to develop further questions, solve PYQs. Yeah. Done? ठीक है. Anything you want to ask out of this, whatever I have taught? कुछ ऐसा जो नहीं समझ आया? So this is the mind map. We started with the type of dispersion that we have because these things are already there in class 10 syllabus. So I have skipped these things. Assuming that you have 10th पढ़ के आए. ठीक है, and we started with these 3 ideas. More important, there these 2, and this we have covered in detail. More importantly, there are 2 illustrations, 2 or 3 illustrations. This coefficient of variation is asked, ठीक है ना, and these 2 ideas. And how to solve this question is a peculiar way of doing it. NCERT, the way is not correct, the question is right. तो ये 2-3 क्वेश्चंस आपको आने चाहिए, जो मैंने यहाँ पे दे रखे, ठीक है. Done. So with that, we have finished this chapter.